All right, welcome back from the break. Glad to know that our guest, Issa Lusheta, has joined us now. Issa, good morning. Nice to have you join us on Global Morning.
Yeah, good morning, Anthony.
All
It's
right,
always a pleasure.
let's first of all, congratulations, your new governor of your state. Yeah, talking about Usman Ahmed Ododo finally took over yesterday, and we heard his speech. For you, how would you describe the entire event? Would you say Kogais should be expectant?
Well, if you want to go by what people have been talking about, is the game between Godfatherism and, of course, Godson, right? But we've seen that played out in various states where you've had the cases in Rivers State, you have the case in Kaduna State, you've had the case in Kano State, and of course, we all know how all of those, interplay, had resulted to finally. And of course, the rift still continued today between Kwankwaso and Ganduje in Kano State. This they were even very close, best of friends, and he handed over to him. First, when he did the first time, even when he was defeated the second time, then the second time he came, the third time he came, but he won the second time. So let's hope that that of Kogi State too will not go that route. What probably a lot of people are most concerned about is just to see at least to see a clear-cut plan from the incoming governor, or the governor rather, because he has been sworn in already. Just to see that happening differently, to see development happen in the state. The states, unfortunately, haven't really witnessed a lot of significant progress despite the opportunities, that are there. But let's hope that, the current governor, whom is Ododo, is, able to change the narrative.
Okay, in terms of the acumen, business acumen of Ododo and that of Yaya Bello, would you say from his speech and his drive to his promise or vow to make Kogi the investment hub for both local and international investors gives some bit of confidence, and the fact that he says Kogi has two large water bodies that can be, tapped for, the transportation sector, and also produce food that the people would eat all year round, and food that they will also export, export not just to Nigerians but to the African continent. Do you think he's being realistic, or he's just playing to the gallery?
Talk is cheap, like I said. He's translating all of those rhetorics into actionable execution of projects, right? Like I said, I mean, for an average person whom had not even really gotten advanced education knows the potential that is there for Kogi State. Like I said, it's been unfortunate that we've not actually had, competent leaders that can transform that state into what it ought to be. And for those of us whom, have stayed very close in the private sector and understand how things are being done, when you fold your arms and you look at what's happening back home, it sort of, discourages you, to even want to contribute your own quota. But that does not necessarily mean that you shouldn't. But from what you have said, we have seen all of those rhetorics, over and over before. For me, I would rather, say he should stay with under promising and over delivery, rather than over promising and under delivery. So, but the clock is ticking. It started ticking from Saturday. Let us see. Yeah, we saw some lists came out. About appointment of commissioners and his aides that are going to be working with him. And whatever you want to do, whatever dreams or ideas or aspirations that you have, you need a competent team that understands those vision and can translate them into actionable projects, that people can feel and touch. Forget about what statistics that you read or all of those theories that you read out. People really want to see physical, active activities happening, and they want to be able to feel and touch it. They want to be able to let word of mouth, right, spread your good works, not you, telling us what you have achieved. Yes, you can tell us what you have achieved, but let people on the street, those are the last mile, those who really need this development, most especially at this very hard time, let them be the one coming out to say all of those good things that you have done. I laugh when I see politicians talk about, giving you good roads as dividends of democracy. For crying out loud, it is my it is your responsibility, it is my right, for you to give me all of those. Because I'm paying tax. So you are not doing me any favor. You are just a custodian of all of the things that we are gathering, all of the funds that is coming in. You are a custodian. You have just been there. You have been elected there, right, to provide leadership and to provide leadership that can implement, all of the gains of democracy. So when a politician comes and say that they have given you roads, they've ensured that there's security, it's your responsibility to provide all of these things. I am waiting for the days when Nigerian politicians will be telling us that we have built this artificial intelligence hub that is transforming not just Nigeria, not just your state, but even Africa. Then I know that you're doing something extra. Yeah, I'm waiting for the day when Nigerian politicians will tell us that they are ambitious. They are sending 2, 3 people to the moon. I mean, this has happened in the 70s, by United States of America. That tells you the level of development between us and them. But it's not rocket science. It doesn't mean that we don't have the brains, we don't have the equipment, we don't have the funds, to be able to even carry on this project. So at what point will we begin to open our eyes to move beyond where we are today? Because as far as I'm concerned, we are still I'm sorry to use this word, even though we are exposed to some technology world, but we are still in dark ages. If you want to compare us with the Western world, sometimes you look at some key development projects that those people are implementing, and you want to compare it to what we are doing. I mean, it's a child's play. So I won't lie to you, everybody is tired in Nigeria, everybody is bored with the same rhetorics. We want to see things happen differently. We want to see the economy open. We want to see, even though this might not be directly linked to him, we want to see the exchange rate relatively stable. We want to see people, investors coming into Nigeria to invest. We want to see less people moving out of the country, right? We want to see a country that is working because we've gotten the potential, both human and natural resources. So I think it's a wake-up call for almost all our leaders, not just the governor of Kogi State, because everything that they do is almost same, it's uniform. There's nothing different. They are not exciting the youth. And the youth will not just fold their hands and watch. Trust me, they are watching closely and they want to take this state, they want to take their fate in their hands. And that will happen very quickly. The sooner the better. They change all of these unnecessary rhetorics that they give to the general public, the better it will be for them.
All right, he's barely 48 hours as the governor of the state, and he's already getting into controversy, one of them being the appointment of Bello Ali as his chief of staff, someone who the EFCC is investigating for 3 billion naira fraud, money laundering, alongside the wife of the ex-wife governor, Rashida Bello, Iyada Sadat, Abba Dauda, and also Yakubu Siyaka. These are people who are under investigation for money laundering for the tune of 3 billion. How does someone who is under investigation become the chief of staff of the government? Does that tell us how corrupt this government is likely to go?
Well, nobody can substantiate that for now. Like, I would like to talk to reality. Okay. If they are indicted or if they are really guilty, Anthony, they should be in jail by now. EFCC should have gone after them even with the appointment. They don't have immunity even after they are appointed, right? So EFCC should do the needful. If all of these allegations are there, there are
evidence. But in February 8, right, 2023, it was alleged he was before the EFCC.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So how did he go out? How did he jump bail? Ask yourself the question. So okay, let's assume that it was in the era of the previous EFCC chairman. what happens to the current EFCC chairman? The current EFCC chairman should reopen the file, just the way we are seeing everybody's file being reopened right now. They should reopen the file, investigate it. If they found anything credible about all of those allegations, they should be picked by now. I mean, a serving minister was suspended, and immediately EFCC, invited her to their office. A serving minister, for crying out loud, not to talk of a state where the person is not even a commissioner, is a chief of staff, right? So if there is any evidence against, all of these names that you have, EFCC should do the needful. Trust me.
Okay, let's look at, you made mention of the godfatherism issue.
They should do the needful. Go after these guys and dog them.
Okay, let's look at the issue of godfatherism. In his speech, he made several, credits, give credits to Yaya Bello, the wife, and certain people who were with him, including the vice president. What's the expectation? How much independent do you think his governance is going to be? How independent do you think it's going to be?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the question you asked was a rhetorical question, but I will respond because the truth is, like I said, it has happened. I mentioned other states where we've seen, these scenarios, right? And that of Kogi State is not any way different. You should ordinarily expect him to give accolades to the person who has picked him out from the various candidates to be the next, governor, and he is the governor as we speak, right? So you should expect him to, to give all of those good words of encouragement, those words of those thankful words, to his predecessor. How independent he is, I would say keep your finger crossed for the next 6 months. Power. When they say absolute power corrupt absolutely. Yes, power is very, very, very sensitive. And trust me, when you get there and you assume the position of authority, the pendulum begins to swing. There's little or no thing that you can do to actually tame a man that has power. And now, when you now begin to understand that he has power, don't forget he has a woman by his side. So let's see how everything plays out.
Okay, now you're touching a very interesting part. In terms of the woman by his side, how key is that going to be towards him achieving his aim of turning Kogi around? Knowing he's got the first lady by his side. A lot of people have said the first lady looks like someone who looks a little bit older than him, though that's a private talk. But in terms of focus, which areas should he be focusing on to actually make a difference for the people of Kogi to feel the impact of democracy?
I think to a large extent, Kogi it occupies a central point and a sharing border with, I think, 10 or 11 states. So what that means is that there's a lot of vehicular activities or movement, in and around the state. So one of the things I will want to see that the governor quickly start doing is to stabilize security, right? And see how we can invest more in infrastructure. We should have gotten all of these things, but successive governments, from 1999, till date, have not really done anything meaningful as far as I'm concerned. So it should focus more on giving infrastructure that will be sustainable, that will be lasting, right? Create a hub for the state where investors can come in. I mean, the state has gotten a lot of resources, just like he has identified, but it is now putting all of those things that he has identified from theory to practice. Now, you have a state that should be a symbol of tourism. It's legendary for its confluence, iconic symbol, right? You should see how you can, turn that place around. You see, Lokoja is very, very also well positioned. For me, if I have Lokoja is a place that's the state capital, yes, where you can turn into a heaven of tourism attraction. All of those hilltops, create something different, unique, where people can come in. And the more you have foreigners, you have a lot of people coming into your state. You are generating a lot of income. There's consumption tax. There's a whole lot of things that you can do. Open the state up, create a massive infrastructure so people can come in and develop estates there rather than having hotels, right? I'm not saying hotel is bad to have, but we are saying let us have something that is progressive. Bring in industries. Yes, I know Ajakuta is for federal government, and federal government is already looking into that through the ministry rather of steel, right? But let us see what we can do differently with all of the resources that you already have. How can you bring in companies that can, from the raw materials that you have, processes to finished product? Because with this, you'll be able to engage a lot of your teaming youths. So nobody will see crime as an attractive means or as an attractive venture to go into. So if he's able to, even if it is one or two companies is able to bring in, then he should focus more on digitizing the economy, because that is the new normal. He should be able to attract technocrats who will form his, think tank to come and give him a structured developmental plan that he can use, to begin to measure his own, KPI in office. So he needs that template. He needs that digital economy template where every other thing can, fuse into. Because once he has that, he can use that, right, to influence the agricultural sector. He can use that to improve on the healthcare delivery system that the previous governor had done, because I'm quite aware that he did a lot in terms of healthcare delivery system in the state. So he can continue from there, from all of those modern activities, modern facilities that they have. He can connect, the digital economic template into it. He can also increase, job creation around all of the companies I've spoken about. You have a lot of mineral resources, you have the natural resources, you have cotton, for instance, in Kogi State. Are you willing to turn that state into a textile hub, right? Where people can, instead of rather going to China to import all of these materials that we will put on, they can go to Kogi State, and actually begin to buy them. So that will also bring a lesser pressure on the exchange rate. If we can consume what we, if you can buy, rather purchase what we consume locally, it will go a long way to put lesser pressure on our exchange rate. And Nigeria can become, at least Kogi State can play a pivotal role in ensuring that it's taking a large chunk of the economic activities and generating more resources. Then expand the tax net, and that also talks about digitizing the process as well. I've spoken about informal sector. I don't want to sound like broken record, but like I said, he can get actual technocrats, experts who can, not just give him theory, but also execute all of those theory for him and give him a template that he can follow for the next 4 years. At least let him focus for the next 4 years first before he can begin to talk about having a second time in office.
All right, let's just look at the water bodies in Kogi. Do you think there's an economic value he can bring in, though he talked about transportation and the fact that Kogi has been surrounded by at least 6, 7 more states? Can the water, those two water bodies, can transportation be another source of massive income? And also looking at sports, how can he bring these two into bear in changing the face of Kogi State?
Yeah, like I said, Lokoja is well positioned, and the water is there. You can use the water to his advantage. There's a way he can. There are a lot of states, neighboring states, who probably are suffering from lack of water supply. If he's able to, galvanize, that resources and also redistribute to his own neighboring state, that's another income generating avenue for him, right? So when you talk about sport, I know that sometime last year, Nigeria hosted, a competition, and that was done at the Jabi Lake, right? Where we have about 16 to 17 African countries who came around.
Canoeing.
Lokoja would have canoeing, yes. Kogi State can actually host that kind of event, right? And Kogi is even more, central to host it. It's an avenue for people to go there, look at the beautiful landscape, look at the beautiful nature, that Kogi is blessed with. And that can begin to attract more, attention to the state. If you can attract or host, those kind of activities. So yes, there's a whole lot that can happen there. You can host local competition as well, in Kogi State. But beyond that, transportation, yes, what the waterways are there. You can link it to the Niger Delta. You can link it even straight to the Atlantic Ocean. It depends on the kind of vision, that the sitting governor has. Like I said, I'm pretty sure that they would have gotten series of proposals. I'm well assured of that. They would have gotten series of proposals. It is either to go back to the archives of those proposals and see, those ones that he can, lay his hands on, and talk with his economic team. It's very important. See how they can generate revenue, or they can attract income, or even get borrowing to facilitate a capital project, not to service recurrent expenditure. If that is done properly, then you can say that he's starting on a good footing. So these are all of the things I feel that the current governor should be looking at, differently.
All right, thank you very much, Issa Shatta. In the coming days, we'll be looking at that state and see how well it's doing. And also, hopefully, those Kogais in diaspora will be converging in Lokoja one of these days to see how we can move that state forward. We have lots of vested interest in the Confluence town. Thank you very much, Issa. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll be talking much more. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
All right, that's how I will call it a wrap on that section. Now, next I will be talking about the President Tinubu's private trips. The implication for Nigeria is up next when our guest in the person of Oche Emmanuel, one of Nigeria's finest lawyers, will be here to help us look at that very interesting talking point. Stay with us.